Matt Miguez has plenty on his mind, and he's ready to share it with the world. It's time to hear the Miguez Mindset.
Welcome into the Miguez Mindset here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Matt Miguez here, 2 days away from the NFL draft taking place in Detroit on Thursday night. And we've got a lot to talk about with the top picks and what the New Orleans Saints will do at 14. I heard a mock draft this morning that had 6 trades in the first round and 5 quarterbacks going in the first round. So there's a lot to get to. Our guy Emory Hunt from Football Gameplan and CBS Sports joins us here on the Miguez Mindset, former Raging Cajun as well. Emory Hunt, good morning, my man. How are you?
Good morning, my guy. How's it going?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. You know, there's a special buzz in the air when draft season's here that you just don't get any other time of the year.
Yeah, everybody, feels as though they are locked in, having not spoken about the draft or whatnot all throughout the college season. And once that either it starts when your team is eliminated from postseason consideration, or you know, at the combine, do a lot of folks I find start to get very interested and locked in with the draft.
Let's start with, depth in terms of position groups. You know, a lot of people talk about how deep this class is at offensive tackle. A lot of people talk about how deep this class is at the skill positions. Where do you think that this NFL draft class for 2024 is the deepest?
Well, when people say deep, or at least how I interpret it or how I view it, it's about where the elite talent lies. At the how much elite talent is at a certain position. Because I cover so many draft prospects and scouting reports to where I always find depth in the draft. But if you're talking about, what positions have a lot of elite players, uh, good to elite players at the top, then you're looking at receiver, you're looking at offensive tackle. I feel like those positions are where people tend to focus at. And again, it's the receiver class to me is a lot like the 2014 class, as opposed to the 96 class, which still is very good. You know, you have your Mike Evans, you have your Odell Beckham Jr., your Sammy Watkins, guys that were really good pros or still currently good pros. I feel like you'll see a lot of that in this class, and a lot of it has to date back to, what the high school level is doing with 7-on-7. You see more receivers coming into college ready to go from day one. They're running these spread offenses, so they're getting more reps at running routes, so they're hitting the ground running,
Right.
both figuratively and literally, once they get to the NFL level.
So let's start with the top. The Chicago Bears have the number 1 overall pick, and it seems like for the last 2 years, Caleb Williams' name has been there. In your opinion, 48 hours away, how much of a lock is Caleb Williams in that spot, and what sets him apart from the rest of the quarterbacks in this class?
It would be surprising to see him not be the number 1 overall pick, because he does have a lot of these special traits that you look for: the deep ball accuracy, the placement on the deep ball, his athleticism, both to run and also scramble to buy time. And you like the fact that he's done it well at 2 separate programs. Did it at Oklahoma, then transfers to USC and did a great job there winning the Heisman Trophy. So again, he has those plus level traits. The ability to extend the play is always a plus, and how he's able to really work every quadrant of the field in the passing game makes him special.
Now, when you look at a guy like Jaden Daniels, this year's Heisman Trophy winner, quarterback out of LSU, it was rumored over the weekend that he does not want to play for the Washington Commanders. How much stock do you buy into that? And if you're the Commanders and you hear that, do you maybe shy away from the guy?
It's interesting because rumors are starting to come out a lot. I That's why I'm glad I'm not too online, or just
Right.
focus on rumors. Like I just need to know the evaluation. And that's my goal, and that's what I focus on, because at the end of the day, some of these rumors could be put out by the said team. Who knows?
Right.
Washington. We've seen this happen before, where a team that ends up drafting the guy was the team that put out a rumor. So you can't believe half of what you see and none of what you hear, especially around this time of the season.
Emory, how many quarterbacks do you have going in the top 10? Because if it goes 1-2, like we think it is, I mean, you still have Drake May, you still have JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr. A lot of people think that JJ McCarthy could slide into the top 10. Do you agree with that? How many quarterbacks are going that early?
It's a tough question to ask me because personally, I feel like only two quarterbacks should go in the top 10, and the two we just talked about. But now, if you say first round, when you expand out and look at how, how many teams need quarterbacks, you got Chicago, Washington, New England. The Giants technically need one, but they are sitting at six. You could make a case for Tennessee if you're sold on Will Levis or not. Um, they could use a quarterback, but also now you go down to 11, 12, and 13. Even though the Broncos did pick up Zach Wilson the other day, that maybe saves them from panicking to get up to whatever pick in the fourth, in the top 10. But there's six teams that for sure need quarterbacks. Seven if you include the Giants. So really seven. And then if you want to extrapolate, expand out to eight, you got Tennessee technically there. The Rams, I wouldn't be shocked if they took a quarterback because Matt Stafford can't play forever. So there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. So I would say six could potentially go in the first round.
Now we talked earlier about the offensive tackle spot and the wide receiver spot being deep in this draft class. Three names jump out of the wide receiver spot, and it's Rome Odunze out of Washington. It is Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State, and it is Lafayette's own Malik Neighbors out of LSU. Talk to me about each of these guys and kind of where you rank them 1, 2, and 3.
Well, I grade differently. So I grade them by what I project their positions to be, whether it's split in or X receiver. That's Rome Odunze is my number one. Z receiver, that's, you know, Malik Neighbors is my number one there. And I honestly have Marvin Harrison Jr. as my number 3Z behind Keon Coleman, another local product. So I feel like this is a very good
Yeah.
receiver class. And again, a Dunze to me is he's more of your classic X, like runs great routes, gets off the press really well, catches the ball fantastic away from his body, just plays with a level of calm and patience that you want to see. Neighbors is super explosive. He's kind of like Jamar Chase, where you could put him kind of anywhere as a receiver, inside or outside, and you don't have to really get him the ball deep. You can get him the ball short, and he could take it a long way, or he could just beat you deep down the field. Like he's a fantastic player. And Harrison is a big body guy that could win above the rim, but also shows that he can catch and run after the catch as well. Brian Thomas is another one that's kind of like that, where he's a big body receiver that people may say, oh, he's a vertical threat. Yeah, he's that, but he's also a guy that can catch a short pass and take it a long way.
Right.
So anywhere you look, there's receivers across the board. Maybe depends on when the run starts at receiver. We could probably see 7 guys going round 1.
Emory Hunt with Football Game Plan joining us here on the Miguez Mindset. Let's look at those offensive tackles now. When you look at mock drafts and a lot of the conversation around this week's draft, it's Joe Alt and then everybody else. So talk to me about, Joe Alt, what makes him stand out, and then the other guys, Troy Fautanu, Talise Fuaga, players like that.
Yeah, Alt is a fantastic player. 6'8", 325, a good athlete for someone that's that tall and does a good job on the move. He's my number 2 tackle. My number 1 is actually Troy Fautanu, who, despite being 6'3", when you watch Washington play, and I talk about all the pass rushers that's going to be perhaps selected in this year's draft, a lot of them played in the Pac-12, which
Right.
means he went against a lot of them, which means he was able to win a lot of those reps and a lot of those matchups. So for me, Fautanu is someone that is excellent. I would leave him at tackle. You like the fact that Olu Fashanu is another one, long arm, athletic tackle that does a good job of, playing with the length that he has. A lot of guys they may have the length, but they're slow to get their hands on him. He does a good job in playing quick with his hands and able to do that. Talise Fuaga out of Oregon State, another big body tackle, I think does a great job in showing patience on the right side and able to wall guys off or, really stonewall them in a run game. So this is a very good tackle class as well. So it wouldn't surprise me to see maybe 22 of the 32 picks in the first round be offensive players, because we're going to see a run on quarterbacks, receivers, and offensive tackles.
Is there something that you see happening in the first round on Thursday night that maybe a lot of people aren't talking about, like a trade that you could see coming, a prospect that could sneak into the first round, anything like that?
If I had to take a guess, I would say Spencer Rattler could back into the first round as one of these quarterbacks, especially when you think about the style of plays, kind of like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
That what we've seen from Buccaneers Baker Mayfield, or even the Rams Baker Mayfield, which means the Rams could be in play for a guy like that. So that's why I feel like we could see 6 quarterbacks go in the first round. Someone's going to trade back into the first to grab a quarterback on the 5th-year option, and I feel like that guy could sneakily be Baker Mayfield.
So if you're the New Orleans Saints at pick number 14, I've heard obviously offensive tackle is the glaring need to protect Derek Carr, considering you don't know the injury concerned with Ryan Ramczyk. However, I've heard a lot of people say that if Brock Bowers slips to 14, he's a guy that is hard to pass up. So if you're the Saints and Brock Bowers is there at 14, do you still stick to offensive tackle, or do you get the skill player and hope to get a good tackle later?
No amount of offensive lineman is going to help Derek Carr improve his pocket presence. So you can have the Great Wall of China in front of him. He's still going to take sacks. So scratch offensive line off the list. You want playmakers. They lose Michael Thomas. They still have Chris Olave. Yes, Rashid Shaheed's a solid receiver, but you still need another bona fide stud. So whether that's one of these excellent receivers or, to your point, Brock Bowers, you have to go there and continue to stockpile offensive firepower around a quarterback like Derek Carr. I feel like that's probably the best bet. You want to make sure you have enough threats to make offense easy for you, because you could have a great offensive line. If your quarterback still is hesitant to get rid of the football and concede sacks, it doesn't really, it just kind of, it goes into the wash, and so
Yeah.
I just feel like, you know, without diving too much on Derek Carr, I just feel like they should probably land on one of these playmakers and just start stockpiling offensive weaponry around whoever's going to be the quarterback in the near future.
All right, Emory, let our listeners know what's going on over at Football Game Plan, and as well as your work with CBS Sports.
Well, they can now order the best draft guide that's out there, Football Game Plan 2024 Draft Guide, over 900 individual scouting reports, the largest draft guide in existence. They can go pick that up at footballgameplan.com/2024 Draft Guide. It's a full color PDF, so you'll get it right in your inbox. Check your spam folder as well. It's a great resource. If you purchased the draft guide since 2020, right now you would be sitting on over 4,300 individual scouting reports. So you would know a lot about the majority of what's in the NFL, UFL, CFL. It's a great resource for the draft, through the draft, into the preseason, and even in the regular season, because we know the practice squad rosters tend to be transient. So who's popping on these rosters? We would probably have a scout report on them. And you could always catch me on CBS Sports HQ, especially this week during the draft. You'll see me on CBS Sports Network. You'll also see me on CBS Sports HQ for days 2, 3, and also post-draft coverage on Sunday as well.
Emory Hunt, former Louisiana Raging Cajun, joining us here on the Miguez Mindset. Emory, killing it as always, my friend. Enjoy the craziness of the NFL draft this week, and we'll talk soon.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Make sure you follow us on social media and subscribe to the YouTube channel at ESPNSouthwestLouisiana.com. And we'll be back next week to recap the NFL draft right here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 in Charles.